Of all the theme parks I had the chance to visit this summer in Europe, Phantasialand located in Brühl, Germany had to be my favorite. The park looks like a real-life art piece with incredibly immersive theming and architecture. In addition, they have some world-class rides that we're going to be focusing on in today's video. Between the 2 days I spent at Phantasialand, I'd like to believe that I've ridden the 10 most renowned attractions in the park. But how one ranks these 10 attractions is highly subjective, so let's get into it. This is how I rank my top 10 favorite rides at Phantasialand. Starting off this list at number 10 is Mouse au Chocolat. This is the only modern dark ride at Phantasialand, and in my opinion, they could really benefit from a new trackless dark ride. This is a solid shooting ride on its own, but certainly not a favorite of mine. I find it to be a little repetitive, and it almost feels like it's a little too long for its own good. Still, the concept of shooting chocolate balls at mice is hilariously German, and you can't take that away from this attraction. Number 9 is Colorado Adventure. This Vekoma mine train coaster is the best non-Disney mine train on the planet. The elements are genuinely intense, it has a nice long layout, and it's actually pretty smooth too. When you're looking at it from off-ride, Colorado Adventure doesn't look like much more than the average family coaster. But the variety of forces, and especially the laterals, are wildly unpredictable. This is an absolutely fantastic supporting ride for this park. Number 8, Talocan. I feel bad for putting this ride so low because it completely blew me away. There just so happens to be 7 other rides in this park that caught me even more by surprise. Now, of all the top spin rides I've ridden, which to be fair isn't a lot, Talocan is easily the best one. I wouldn't even be surprised if it were the best still operating in the world. Watching it is a spectacle with the fire and water effects, and the interactions with these effects on ride, in addition to the violent rotations, is wild as well. I do wish the restraints weren't as bulky, but it's still easily excusable because the flat ride is otherwise perfect. At number 7 is Mystery Castle. Of all the drop towers I've ridden, this one might be the most unique one. Rather than being an outdoor tower, this one is built on the inside of an incredible medieval castle. As a result, the theming and special effects are completely unreal. Mystery Castle also happens to have 2 different ride sequences throughout the day. My favorite one is where you're launched up to the top, but both are absolutely great. Number 6, River Quest. One of the best river rapids rides in the world, River Quest was a godsend on our second day at the park when it was over 100 degrees Fahrenheit or 37 degrees Celsius outside. I was blown away by the 3 separate drops, the first of which takes place after an elevator lift hill which I knew nothing about before riding. The first drop is pretty huge too, and steep, but if you think that's insane, wait until you see the second drop. This one takes place in conjunction with a whirlpool effect where you're then pinballed off the side. The last drop is probably the least impressive, but still a solid end to an absolutely world-class rapids attraction. Number 5, Winjas. Possibly the most unique spinning coaster in the world, this set of dueling spinning coasters is just demented. One of the tracks is called Force and the other is called Fear, and they each do their own unique things, especially at the end of the ride. This includes tilt tracks in different directions and even a freaking bounce track that all take place in pitch darkness. Even without these special features though, the layouts would be enough of a reason to ride Winjas. The fun helixes, wild mouse lateral turns, airtime hills, and the horseshoe turn on the Fear track are magnificent. I don't know what I was expecting going in, but certainly not one of the best spinning coasters on the planet. Number 4, Chiapas. You've probably noticed a theme with the attractions by now. Colorado Adventure is one of the world's best mine trains. Talocan is arguably the world's best top spin. Mystery Castle, in my opinion, is the most unique drop tower I've ever ridden. River Quest, one of the craziest river rapids rides ever built. And Winjas, the most creative spinning coaster to exist. Well, to follow with this trend, Chiapas may as well be one of the coolest and best log flumes in the world. The ride is the anchor of the park's Mexico section, and the theming absolutely fits so well. At one point there's like a disco party scene with this super awesome music score and you're going backwards, like what the heck is going on here? But my favorite part of the ride is probably the drop at the end, which is the steepest on any log flume at 53 degrees, taken from 66 feet high, and a speed hill that directly follows. Intamin and Phantasialand absolutely knocked it out of the park with Chiapas. Number 3, Black Mamba. One of my personal favorite B&M inverted coasters, has a fascinating and shockingly intense layout. Black Mamba can be found in the park's Africa section, and it just goes every which way around buildings, over pathways, and through underground tunnels. Since the park has a strict height limit to work with, they had to get really creative with this coaster, and it shows with how low to the ground it stays. It causes the elements to be really compact, so it's actually deceptively intense. When I first got to the park, I actually forgot about Black Mamba since I was so excited for all these other attractions. But don't sleep on this ride, it's a really solid inverted coaster. Number 2, Taron. As much as I've told you guys that this coaster was a little overrated and wasn't very intense, there's still so much it does do well that does not deserve to go unnoticed. The rock work, the music, and the theming that went into the Klukheim area was superb, and Taron absolutely takes advantage of all of it. You'll see it going every which way, and it's actually very difficult to capture video of this thing. The two LSM launches are admittedly fantastic, and you do feel exposed, which I like. To me, it just didn't have the forces I was looking for, and I think that has to do with the fact that I was expecting a thrill ride that can compare to something like Maverick or Velocicoaster. That's simply not true. Taron just isn't that crazy of a ride. But it is most definitely a fun one, and I think it's grown on me over time because of that. I believe it would be unfair to let my high expectations result in a lower ranking for Taron, which is why I've settled with a top 2 spot. But if you ask me, it couldn't even come close to my number 1 ride at Phantasialand, which is the Vekoma masterpiece F.L.Y. F.L.Y was the world's first to launch flying coaster and is the primary attraction in the new Rookburg section of the park. The area has a steampunked feel to it, and F.L.Y fits in beautifully well. Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to show any POVs of this coaster, partially because there isn't any online, and partially because Phantasialand would take down my video since they don't want the ride experience to be spoiled. So I'll do my best to explain instead. The ride begins with a super cool pre-show section with all these hologram-esque set pieces before you flip onto your stomach and prepare for flight. Vekoma came up with a brilliant new ride technology to accompany F.L.Y, and it's by far the most comfortable and smoothest flying coaster setup in the world. The elements also pack in a major punch, some giving heavy positive G-forces and many giving serious airtime. That's a very unusual thing to feel in a flying coaster, but it is great. As an overall package, F.L.Y is absolutely one of the best roller coasters in the world and a terrific standout attraction for this beautiful world-class theme park. With that being said, thank you all so much for watching. I'd love it if you can give me a like and subscribe, along with a comment if you've been to this park and if your opinions differ. Definitely stay tuned for more videos like this to come in the future, and I'll see you all then. Bye guys.